Hello everyone and welcome to the Animezilia, and today we're going to be talking about episode 9 of the Doctor Stone anime series. So, we start off the episode with Senku giving out the ramen that he made last week in order to recruit the people to help him pump the oxygen into the furnace. Because if you remember correctly, we're trying to create iron, but we don't have enough manpower to get the flame hot enough in order to create iron itself. And what I really did like about this bit is that no one actually knew what they were involved in or getting themselves into if they accepted this bowl of ramen. It's only after when Senku said, you gotta work if you want to eat this, then it dawned on the villagers that, just how brutal the working under Senku actually is. I thought that was great. I liked it. But what I liked even more is that this scene is also the scene in where we're introduced to one of my personal favourite characters within the Doctor Stone series, and that is Gen. Gen is a mentalist, and we've seen him in the intro, as well as the fact is he has appeared on a book cover back in a flashback when they're at the school talking about some stuff, and this was when Senku was supposedly dead. Gen is such a great character, and this episode helps show that. We see him be very cunning and persuasive in this episode when trying to talk his way out of being attacked by Kohaku, and also where he persuades Magna to leave them be right before they're trying to create magnets. As for his design, I think it's great, and I do like the creepy little scar on his face, which must be a result of the petrification being undone. But as we will see in future episodes, if they go with this trait in the anime, I hope they do because it's pretty cool. But when Gin's got his evil face like Senku, then I love seeing the scar itself basically kind of chuckle and laugh at the same time. It looks sinister, it makes Gin look sinister, and obviously his evil faces are on par with Senku's. Like both Senku and both Gin, they're meant to be somewhat good characters. Gin, you can never really understand where he's to, what side he's on. But for the most part, they are meant to be on the side of science, which is technically the side of good. But their evil expressions, would say otherwise. Kohaku. Even though Gen is a very good talker and actor, Kohaku doesn't have any of it. She's super cautious around him, and I like that about Kohaku's character. It shows that she has good instincts, and, it plays off as a bit of a joke from time to time, but I found that a good trait for Kohaku as a character. Last point about Gen is that it's worth noting that he is currently on the fence about which team to be on within the Doctor Stone series. At the moment, he is technically on Team Tsukasa, but he might switch to Team Science. As he states, one has great scientific tools and foods, but the work is brutal. And the other is unadvanced, but is easy living. He even states that all he has to do is revive a few good-looking women, and he has his own harem. Gin can be the main character. But in this episode, his main goal is to scout the area to see if Senku is actually still alive. As one whisper to Senku, to Tsukasa even, and Senku would be dead for real this time. So really, depending on the choice of which team Gen wants to go on to, it could end up, deciding where the plot goes. If he decides to stick with Tsukasa, well, our main character is gonna die pretty quickly. If he decides to stick with Senku, then it could lead to some sort of good manipulation and psychological warfare between both parties. I thought that'd be pretty cool. And also, another good character trait that is shown in this episode is that he's quite manipulative. I said that he's a good talker and he's quite he's quite persuasive, but he's also good at manipulating people by kind of getting into their heads and saying what they want to hear. He does this with Ginro and Kinro to kind of get them to help work for Senku, but he also somewhat gets bargaining with Senku in this episode by saying, look, I can tell Tsukasa that you're still alive, and you won't last till the end of the day, but I can stay here and help you out. Choice is yours. Wow me, surprise me. So then, thanks to some heavy work, we have iron. And then a thunderstorm / lightning storm occurs, and the crew need to spring into action, as they need to add copper wiring to the iron that they have, and then have that piece of iron struck by the lightning in order to create magnets. So then, once we have this achieved, it then leads to electricity, after a manual generator is created for Ginro and Kinro to use, as they need someone to spin the wheels, or 2 people to spin the wheels in complete sync. And because those 2 are brothers, and they've always been kind of guardians together, then, you know, best choice. And then we get a really nice looking scene with Senku creating light using a bamboo light bulb. We have some talk about Thomas Edison and how he created the light bulb and basically helped humanity defeat darkness by illuminating the skies. But the main thing in here that I really did like was the animation. Between the whole getting the lightning to strike the iron and then putting the light bulb on and making it glow, the animation was beautiful. Some of the best quality animation that we've had from this series thus far. Now, saying that, there were a few not so great shots, but really, does that matter too much when you have really good animation like this? But I'll show you an example. So, we now have a manual electrical generator and a light bulb. And looking at the plans from last week, if you remember we had that big chart, looking at that, it looks like we could go for possibly salt next time, create salt and other things on that list. Or there might be something that we need first in order to kind of create that list. So for example, if we look at the list and say they need sulfuric acid, for example, they need something to hold that. So maybe we could get glass next week and create like a funnel or a beaker or something similar to that, because we always need those in science, and that's very useful for storing liquid elements. But either way, I'm excited to see where this series is going to go. And overall, this episode was really good. Nothing too big or too shocking happened. Bad joke, I know. Moving on. In this episode, but we did attain a few useful items that helps the crew get closer to making that medicine for Ruri, and we get a great character introduction for Gen. Sound effects were all good, especially the lightning. I really did like that sort of crashing noise and effect, and the comedy was okay. But I'm not a fan of Gen's goofy faces, but oh well, I've got to kind of put up with it with Dr. Stone, because that's part of their jokes, I suppose. And sometimes it can be quite funny, but I just find that Gen is overreacting, but it does work with his character, so I'm not going to be too critical or too kind of put off by it. And finally, to end off this this review, I actually watched the outro for the first time after this episode, and I found a warning sign to be very funny, that they were stating, oh yeah, warning, do not try and copy any of these, they are very dangerous and sometimes illegal, so you've been warned, thank you. I found that to be pretty funny because they actually have to kind of state that at the end. It's kind of like where I work. I work with shellfish, so I have to state that shellfish, all shellfish products may contain shell. It's so dumb because it makes, you would kind of think it goes with the product. And just like this, you wouldn't expect people to go and do it themselves, but I guess they have to say it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this review. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, make sure to smash that like button. Sorry again that it was a day late, but at least we have it. Subscribe so you never miss a video from me. Follow me on all social medias. Links down the description below to keep up to date with where the videos are and when they're uploaded and all that good stuff. But until then, I hope you have an amazing day. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye for now.